rock hard. Follow Red Mario Illuminati Gear Racing. https://twitter.com/happeningin6666.
Hi everybody, I am Red Mario 13 and Naki 36, back with another live stream game. And we are doing a voice chat today for sure, so the game we are doing, hopefully y'all can see and hear everything well. I hope the stream is looking good. But the game we are doing, if you can't tell by the name, here it is, Metal Gear Solid. That's what we're going to be playing. So, before we get right into the game though, there's a few things I want to go over. We got some options here. We got like VR training, which you basically hone your skills and stuff. We got special, which has some unlockable something in the game. Briefing is what we're going to be looking at today at least, but we'll see if we can get into the game today. So, let's go ahead and do the briefing right now, okay? We may not get right into the game today, but we'll see what we can do. We'll get as far as we can today. So. We're gonna start with the I guess what you call the movies of the game, the prologue. So
it's been a long time, Snake.
I'm gonna be a little quiet for the voice
behind this, Colonel.
That's no way to greet an old war buddy, Snake.
What do you want from me?
I just invited you here so we could have a talk.
Invited? That's what you call sending armed soldiers after me?
Sorry if they were a little rough with you, but we've got a serious situation here. Only you can get us out of it.
I'm retired from Foxhound. You're not my commander anymore, and I don't have to take orders from you or anyone else.
You will take these orders. I know it.
Sorry for the slowdown if there is any. Looks like there is, but...
Excuse me.
Oh well.
Who's this?
Not too bad.
Dr. Naomi Hunter.
Oh, boy.
She's chief of Foxhound's medical staff, and an expert in gene therapy.
Are you military?
No, civilian. I've been sent here from ATGC. Pleasure to meet you, Snake. Don't worry, this injection won't hurt a bit.
What's the shot for?
What's wrong? You don't like shots?
Snake, listen up. It all went down 5 hours ago. Heavily armed soldiers occupied Shadow Moses Island, a remote island off the coast of Alaska.
What soldiers?
Next Generation Special Forces, led by members of Unit Foxhound. They've presented Washington with a single demand, and they say that if it isn't met, they'll launch a nuclear weapon.
A nuclear weapon?
I'm afraid so. You see, the island is the site of a secret nuclear weapons disposal facility.
Foxhound hijacking a nuclear weapon?
Now you understand how serious the situation is. You'll have 2 mission objectives. First, you're to rescue the DARPA chief, Donald Anderson, and the president of Arms Tech, Kenneth Baker. They're both being held as hostages.
Those are some heavy-duty hostages.
Secondly, you're to investigate whether or not the terrorists have the ability to launch a nuclear strike, and stop them if they do. Any questions, Snake?
Questions? I haven't even said whether I'd accept this mission.
Well, you can make up your mind after you hear more about the situation.
Okay, so that was the first part of the prologue, but there's more to see. So let's see here. Let's go to Operation Outline. If I can select it. Okay, there we go, okay. Oh. There we go, okay, yeah, trying to select it. Okay.
Colonel, I don't work for the government anymore. Let me go back to Twin Lakes.
Why, Snake? Is your life in Alaska all that great?
There's a dog sled race this week. Next Saturday, I have to be in Anchorage.
The Iditarod? The longest sled race in the world? When did you become a dog musher?
Right now, my 50 Huskies are my
Tifa
only
Lockhart
family. I've got
said,
to take care of them.
Join Red Marioxinoniki's gaming Discord where people
Don't
can chat
worry
here.
about your dogs.
https://discord.gg/spamey.
Snake, but this vessel is headed for the Bering Sea. There's no room for debate.
Because it looks like
I told you, even if I do owe you, I don't owe anything to this army or this country.
You will accept this assignment.
Wish
Okay,
I
no,
was
this is the
stupid
right
enough
one.
to do that. I'm no patriot.
That is the
Snake,
right one. Okay.
There's enough dirt in your file from your days as an agent to keep you in the stockade until you're a very old man.
Oh, I see. Blackmail, mail.
No, Snake. I prefer to look at it as
gonna go through a lot of
helping you
these,
come to a
briefing
decision
files here,
more
so.
easily. But anyway, I know you better than that. You'd take this assignment even without the threat.
Why do you say that?
You're a natural-born soldier. You're not the grow old gracefully type. It's the same for all of us who've seen real action. The only place we can feel truly alive is on the battlefield. I'm a soldier too. I know those feelings of powerlessness, frustration that you feel every day. You've tried to play the Boy Scout out there in Alaska, but you can't race dogs in the snow forever. Why don't you come back to us and be a soldier again?
You think my life is some kind of a joke?
Snake, I just want to give you back your purpose in life.
Okay, so there's that briefing one. Let's see what we got next. Oh, oh. I didn't want to do that. I want to select the briefings. Try that again. Yeah, there we go. Infiltration method. That's what we're looking for.
Tell me about the nuclear weapon disposal facility.
The disposal facility includes a hardened underground base. Even with our most advanced intelligence
The briefing takes like
gathering
half an
equipment,
hour or so.
we can't tell what's happening inside.
Yeah, we
So
gotta get
someone
past
needs
that
to
first.
penetrate, gather intelligence, and report back. Sounds like a spy movie. What's the insertion method?
Well, an air insertion is impossible.
Not with this storm going on.
We'll approach the disposal facility by sub.
Approach?
Yes, within a few miles of it. The facility is equipped with sonar detection
That guy right there is
capabilities.
Solid Snake.
You'll be able
the
to
main
hear our
character of the
engine
game,
or
so.
propeller noise.
And then?
We'll launch a one-man SDV.
Launch.
Same as a torpedo, only this has no propulsion device of its own. After the
This is
SDV
a game I've
gets
been
as
wanting to
close
stream
as
for a
it
pretty
can,
good while now,
dispose
again,
it.
so.
From there on, you'll have to swim.
You want me to swim in sub-zero Alaskan water?
Don't worry.
classic.
That suit represents the latest advances in polythermal technology. The nuclear weapons disposal facility covers the whole island. I'll instruct you by codec after you reach your target.
Anyone going with me?
As usual, this is a one-man infiltration mission.
One-man
Weapons and
infiltration.
equipment OSP?
Yes, this is a top-secret black op. Don't expect any official support.
Okay, that one's done. Let's see what the next one is. Now, there's a lot of these briefing missions here. Got time limit next, so.
What's the time limit?
24 hours. They say they'll launch after 24 hours.
Do they say what the target will be?
1 day?
So far, they haven't mentioned the
Long.
target.
It's not very long
When
at
did
all.
the countdown start?
How are we gonna complete a
5
mission in a
hours
whole
ago.
day? Well, I'll just tell you, there's no way we're completing an entire mission in just 1 day. No, there's just no way. Alright, let's see what we got here. Person in charge of the, operation, I guess?
Colonel, who are you speaking for?
Naturally, I'm representing the U.S. government.
So who's in supervisory control of this operation?
The President of the United States.
Which means that the President must be meeting with his top aides in the map room about now, huh?
No, at this
The
point, they're
president
still
of
video
the
conferencing
on-set
with each
President
other.
Kenneth Baker, huh?
If that's a real nuclear warhead, shouldn't they issue a COG?
Not yet. The Secretary of Defense has operational control and is fully aware of the situation. After you infiltrate, if you determine they possess nuclear launch capabilities, a COG will be issued.
Well, if they haven't relocated to the nuclear shelter under Mount Washington, I suppose there isn't that much
Tifa
reason to
Lockhart
worry yet.
said,
Is the National Security
Red
Agency
Mario
in on this?
Shinanaki has an
Yes.
additional gaming
So is
Discord.
the DIA,
Join here too.
the Defense Intelligence
https://discord.gg/jwm62cb.
They'll be sending us some support.
We don't need desk jockeys. We need a nuclear weapons specialist.
Of course. A nuclear weapons specialist has already been assigned to us.
Alright, let's see what we got next. Support crew, huh?
We need backup from a specialist. I'm just an amateur when it comes to nuclear weapons.
I know. That's why I've requested the assistance of a military analyst named Nastasha Romanenko. She'll be providing you backup by codec.
A female analyst?
She's built up an
We'll be
impressive
talking with
record
her,
as an advisor for the nuclear
when we get to the
emergency
next
search
area
team.
of the game, like the second area.
Contact her if you have any questions. She's also an expert on high-tech weapons.
Where's she working from?
At her home in Los Angeles.
California. Seems like a
Los
million
Angeles,
miles
California.
away.
Alright, then we got Roy Campbell, the Colonel himself.
Colonel, you're retired. Why are you involved in this?
Because there aren't many people who know Foxhound as well as I do.
Is that really the only reason?
I've been soldiering for a long time. I don't know anything else. I guess even though I'm getting a little old, I still love to be in the field.
Colonel, you're a lousy liar. Tell me the real reason.
Okay, Snake. Sorry. I'll be frank. A person very dear to me is being held
Oh,
hostage.
who's that?
Who is it?
My niece, Meryl.
Meryl, huh? Yeah, all these people that he's speaking of, we'll be running into, so, as we go through the game. So let's ask him about Meryl.
What was your niece doing here?
Several soldiers were reported missing the day of the revolt. And my niece was one of those called in as an emergency replacement.
Now, if you're wondering why I'm going through all these
She
briefings,
looks like you.
She's my
it's
little
because
brother's
they're actually
girl.
part of the game
He
itself.
died in the
so
Gulf War.
That's why I'm doing
Since
that.
then, I've been watching after her.
A personal motive, Colonel. That's not very soldierly.
You don't have to
I'm
go through
retired.
these briefings if you don't
I'm
want
just
to.
an old man
I'm just
now.
showing them just because.
And I'm your friend.
Since when are we friends?
Plus, I've not really seen
I've
them
thought of
very
us
much.
as friends since the fall of Zanzibar.
With
The last
my
time I streamed this game, I didn't even show
I don't
this
have
game,
too many
so.
friends.
That's what I trust about you. It's what makes you human.
I'm not going to worry about VR training
Please,
right
Snake.
now. Maybe I'll show that
Save
like
my
as a
niece,
last minute
Meryl.
thing at the end of the game.
All right.
When
But I
do
have
finish
two
the game.
conditions.
Name them.
We're going to try to
One,
get right into
no
the
more
game
secrets
after the
between
briefings
us.
are done.
I want complete disclosure at all times. And two, I'll only accept orders directly from you, Colonel. No cutoffs involved, okay?
Agreed. That's why I was called. But one thing,
What?
I'm not a colonel anymore. Just a retired old warhorse.
I understand, Colonel.
Yeah, you still call him Colonel. Next, we got Dr. Naomi, the doctor herself, the doctor of Foxhound, that is.
That doctor, is she part of this operation too?
She
Well,
was
what
in
do you
charge
think,
of
Snake?
Foxhound's gene therapy. She knows more about those men than anyone else.
You mean you've seen them naked?
Make no mistake, I'm not a nurse. I'm a scientist.
Scientist.
By the way, what was that injection for?
It's a combination of nanomachines and an anti-freezing peptide so that your blood and other bodily fluids don't freeze, even at subarctic temperatures.
Nanomachines.
Not just one kind, either. There are different types which will replenish the supply of adrenaline, nutrition, and sugar in your bloodstream.
Now I don't have to worry about food.
I also put some nootropics in there.
Say what?
Nootropics. A class of drugs which will help improve your mental functioning.
It'll make me smarter, huh? Anything else?
Yes, Benzedrine. It's a type of stimulant. It'll keep you alert and responsive for 12 straight hours.
That was quite a cocktail. Anything else in there?
Those nanomachines will also
Tifa
keep your
Lockhart
codex batteries
said,
charged up.
Hi, I'm Tifa
I guess I
Lockhart,
can
Red
call you when I'm ready
Marioxinoniki's
to go
bot
on a
assistant and your
diet.
chatbot friend.
You're
Enjoy the live
welcome.
stream as you chat away. Thank you for being here. Have fun.
Alright, so that part's done. Now we got, oh, a lot of these. Hospitals. Let's go to them. Detail information. There's a bunch of these. So, we're gonna go through them all.
The chief of DARPA and the president of an arms manufacturing company. What business did they have at a nuclear weapons disposal facility?
We'll be finding
The
those
truth
guys.
is that secret exercises were
As we
being
go through
conducted
them.
at the time the terrorist group attacked.
Must be extremely important exercises if those two were directly involved. Were they testing some kind of new advanced weapon?
I'm not privy to that information.
Do we know exactly where they're being held?
The DARPA chief has also been injected with a mini transmitter. As you get closer, you should be able to pick up his location on your radar.
Oh, that one went by quick. Alright, next we got nuclear weapons.
Do they really have the ability to launch a nuclear missile?
They say they do. They even gave us the serial number of the warhead they plan to use.
Was the number confirmed?
I'm afraid so. At the very least, they've got their hands on a real nuclear warhead.
Isn't there some kind of safety device to prevent this type of terrorism?
Yes. Every missile and warhead in our arsenal is equipped with a PAL, which uses a discrete detonation code.
PAL.
Permissive Action Link. The safety control system built into all nuclear weapons systems. But even so, we can't rest easy.
Why not?
Because the DARPA chief knows the detonation code.
But even if they have a nuclear warhead, it must have been removed from its missile. All the missiles on these disposal sites are supposed to be dismantled. It's not that easy to get your hands on an ICBM.
That used to be true. But since the end of the Cold War, you can get anything if you have enough money and the right connections.
Okay, this one didn't take too long. Yeah, some of these briefings are really short, so some not so much. Some are longer than others, so.
How well armed are these terrorists? I know there was an exercise going on at the time they revolted.
They're heavily armed, I'm afraid.
What about their battle experience?
The 6 members of Foxhound in charge are all hardened veterans. They're tough enough to eat nails and ask for seconds.
I wouldn't expect anything less from Foxhound.
The others are next-generation special forces. They're not your average grunts either.
That one was short. We're actually getting through these pretty quick. Now we got the terrorists. That was the terrorist armament, by the way. Now we're in the terrorist
So
domain.
what exactly are they demanding?
A person's remains.
Remains?
That's right. To be more accurate, cell specimens which contain the individual's genomic information.
Cell specimens? Why would they want that?
The terrorists need them. You see, these next-generation special forces have been strengthened through gene therapy.
Strengthened?
You've heard of the Human Genome Project. They've been mapping the human genome, and they're nearly finished. Following up on this research, the military has been working towards identifying those genes which are responsible for making effective soldiers.
There are genes that do that?
Yes. And using gene therapy, they're able to transplant those genes into regular soldiers.
Gene therapy?
I'll explain this part. With gene therapy, we can remove those genes which we know may lead to sickness or disease, and at the same time splice in genes with beneficial effects, such as resistance to cancer, for example.
In other words, we can overcome all sorts of genetic diseases, and at the same time add genetic characteristics as desired.
Okay. And so if you knew what genes were responsible for making the perfect soldier, you could implant them in the same way, right?
Yes, we could.
But it all depends on being able to isolate and identify those soldier genes.
And in order to do that, it's helpful if you can study the genomic information of one of the greatest soldiers ever.
I actually like these briefings. It's actually nice. So, now we got... Oh, another one! Genetic strengthening. This one came out of nowhere.
One of the
Tifa Lockhart
greatest soldiers ever.
said,
The man they
"This
call
chat
the
is
greatest warrior of the
JUGGY.
20th
Chat as you
century.
please and have fun.
You don't mean
Laughing
Big
face.
Boss.
That's right. We've been working feverishly to identify the genes responsible for his
If y'all don't know who
combat
Big
skill.
Boss is,
So far, we've discovered
he's
about
actually
60 of
the,
the so-called soldier genes.
one of the
So his
original
body was
characters
recovered after
from
all.
Metal Gear and
Yes,
Metal Gear 2
and his
Solid
cells
Snake.
have remained frozen in
The
a
two really
cryo
old Metal
chamber.
Gear games, unlike
His
the
genomic
regular
information
Nintendo.
is a priceless treasure to mankind.
Priceless to the military, perhaps.
His body was
So,
burned
what
severely, but
happened
it was
to him,
possible to restore his DNA
you
profile
would find
from
out
just
from
a
those two
single
games
strand of his hair.
prior to
You
this.
people are amazing. And then you're gonna transplant those genes into soldiers?
Yes. We'll use a process that I discovered called gene targeting. The strongest soldiers don't become what they are by acquiring their skills through training or experience.
We don't really see him in the
we now
game
know
here,
that hereditary
but
factors are
we see
far
like-
more
like
crucial
a
for
preview
creating
of him,
superior
so.
soldiers.
Snake, we can't give them his body.
If you want to learn more
He's
about him,
potentially more dangerous than all
well,
the
play
nuclear
the
warheads on that
game,
island
two
put
games
together.
prior to this one.
I hear the terrorists
Then
are
you'll
calling
see.
themselves the
Then you'll
Sons of
and you'll also
Big
find out what
Boss.
happened to him too.
The sons of Big Boss.
And Solid Snake is actually one of those two sons of Big Boss, in case y'all didn't know. So, the other one we don't know yet. Next Generation Special Force Unit. Let's see this one.
Tell me about these next generation special forces.
They started out as an anti-terrorist special ops unit, made up of former members of biochem units, technical escort units, and the nuclear emergency search team. Their purpose was to respond to threats involving next-generation weapons of mass destruction, including NBC weapons.
Until they were added, that is.
Who's they?
These guys didn't start out as regular army.
Looks like a pretty international group. Mercenaries?
Yeah, and it gets worse. Most of them were from a merc agency that I think you're familiar with. They were part of Big Boss's private guard. And after Big Boss went down, the military just bought out all their contracts.
Outer heaven.
After that, they were merged with our own VR unit, Force 21, and retrained. If you ask me, these so-called next-generation special forces should be called simulated soldiers. They have no real battle experience.
Video game players, huh?
Don't forget they've all been strengthened with gene therapy. They carry genes which make them excellent soldiers. Don't get careless just because they don't have much experience.
I thought using genetically modified soldiers was prohibited by international law.
Yes, but those are just declarations, not actual treaties.
The interesting thing is that nearly every member of the unit conspired in this attack.
Alright, we got one more briefing to go through, I think. Or, okay, no, we got another one to go through. Okay. Can do this one. The reason for unanimous approval. Then we can go to the last one.
How could an entire unit be subverted to rebellion?
They're calling it
Yeah,
a
these
revolution.
took more than
Since
that.
they all went through the same gene therapy, they probably felt closer than brothers. They see the unit as their only family.
The sons of Big Boss. But if they were regular army, they must have been interviewed periodically by army counselors.
According to their files, they all got straight A's on their psychological tests. They all seemed like fine, upstanding, patriotic soldiers.
But they all took part in the uprising?
No, several people didn't show up on the day of the exercise. That's why there was a resupply of troops.
Was there any sign recently that something might be wrong?
There was a report a month ago that they were acting strangely.
Apparently they consulted classified information about the soldier genes and performed their own gene therapy experiments.
They can do that even without you?
Well, our gene therapy process is almost completely automated. And besides that, they're all geniuses with IQs over 180.
Even the existence of this genome army is a national secret of the highest order. We've been hoping to investigate this thing quietly and deal with it behind closed doors.
Alright, then we got Unit Foxhound. Which I think is the last one. I'm not sure. We'll see if there's another one.
High-Tech Special Forces Unit Foxhound. Your former unit, and one that I was a commander of. An elite group combining firepower and expertise. They're every bit as good as when I was commanding them.
So they're still around.
There are 6 members of Foxhound involved in this terrorist activity.
Who do we got
Psycho
here?
Mattis, with his powerful psychic abilities.
Tifa Lockhart.
Sniper Wolf,
Said.
the
Having
beautiful
fun?
and
Like what
deadly
you see?
sharpshooter.
If so, please like and hit that
Decoy
sub tab.
Octopus,
We are all supportive of one
Master
another.
Disguise, Vulcan Raven, Giant and Shaman, and Revolver Ocelot, specialist in interrogation and a formidable gunfighter.
Looks like a lovely bunch of folks. Too bad we'll be meeting under these circumstances.
And finally, in charge of them, Foxhound's squad leader, Liquid Snake.
Liquid Snake.
Liquid Snake.
Yes. And you're the only person who can stand against him.
That must be... Huh. We'll be running into all these guys over time, so... Let's learn about Liquid Snake right here.
Liquid Snake.
Liquid Snake. The man with the same code name
So
as
we got
you.
Solid Snake and Liquid
Tell me
Snake.
what you know.
He fought in the Gulf War as a teenager, the youngest person in the SAS. His job was to track down and destroy mobile Scud missile launching platforms. You were there too, I believe. Didn't you infiltrate Western Iraq with a platoon of Green Berets?
I was just a kid myself back then.
The details are classified, but it seems that originally he penetrated the Middle East as a sleeper for the SIS.
He was a spy for the British Secret Intelligence Service?
But he never once showed his face in Century House. He was taken prisoner in Iraq, and after that there was no trace of him for several years. After you retired, he was rescued and became a member of Foxhound.
I thought that by the time I left, they were no longer using code names.
I don't know his real name. That information is so highly classified that even I can't look at it. Here's a photo of him. Pretty shocking, huh? His skin tone is different, but otherwise you two are exact duplicates.
I have a twin?
I don't know the details, but it seems so. That's why we really need you for this mission.
You're the only one who can beat him. Now that I've met you, I know. You've got something that he doesn't. I can see it in your eyes.
Why don't I find that thought more comforting?
Alright, and those were the briefings, everyone. So, those were the briefings. Now, we can actually get into the game itself. So, let's go
I need to borrow your scissors.
Oh, we got another briefing.
What are you
right
going
here.
to do?
Don't worry, just gonna clean myself up a little.
Huh?
I don't want to be mistaken for the leader of the terrorists.
Okay, there we go. Now we can get into the game. So, let's go